Hello, my name is Ishita Tavaria and I will be teaching you all the subject of business communication for the first half of your semester for major courses like BMS, BAF, BIM, BTM, BBI and BFM. Alright, so let's move to understanding what is communication. Communication has been there since the ages. It's basically a part and parcel of how you and me live, how the mankind lives. And in spite of the fact that it is so very necessary, it is so very important for our survival, we fail to understand its relevance in our day-to-day life. Communication has been derived from two Latin words. The English word communication has been derived from two Latin words, communis and communicare. Now, what does these two words mean? It means nothing but just to make it common, to transact, to communicate, so that the sender and the receiver are on one basic level of page. Now, we often say that I am giving a message to this person but he's not understanding, or what can be the difference between message and communication? They're synonyms for each other. But there is a thin line difference between a message and a communication. Up until the time somebody really understands what the person is trying to say, till they are able to comprehend, till they are able to understand and acknowledge it and give a right kind of a feedback, it is a one-way process which is known as message. But as soon as the person understands, the receiver understands the comprehension or what the sender had tried to communicate, we say that it is a communication. So message, if it's one way, not understood by person B, becomes a message. Communication, when the person B is able to understand and comprehend and reply to it, we can say that it is a communication that's taken place. Very basic example to understand message and communication. I know Chinese or I know French. You do not know that. And if I'm trying to give instructions in French to you, there are words that are simply falling on your ears. So it's some sort of message that's coming in, but you are not able to understand what these instructions are. Therefore, it is not a communication. Alright, with that, we move to understand the very basic and very important parameter, which is what is the communication cycle? How does communication actually take place? When we say it's a two-way communication, when it is a two people or a two-party involvement in terms of be able to spread across ideas, feelings, emotions, thought, expressions, what basically is the communication cycle? So let's understand the whole concept of what exactly is the communication cycle. But before we move ahead to understanding the communication cycle, what we need to also understand are the two major levels at which this communication takes place. One is the intra, that is within, and one is the inter, which is between two groups. So, for example, or to make it more simple to be able to understand, we can say that when humans communicate within each other, when the mankind, when a group of people versus another group of people, living parameters in a way, human beings, when they communicate within each other or with two people or groups, we say that is intra-communication that's taking place because it is within the same group. We all are humans, we are able to understand. There could be barriers in which, the communication cycle kind of can go faulty, kind of can break. But basically, we are able to express our ideas, thoughts, emotions, feelings. So we say that that's an intra-group level kind of communication that's taking place. What happens in the intergroup level or the inter-level communication parameter? In the intergroup level communication, there is an association between humans and animals, or humans and some sort of non-living thing. So say for example, when I'm writing down my thoughts in a journal, that can be nothing but an inter-communication. I am writing my thoughts in a book. It is a one-way communication. The book is not going to reply back to me, but I am able to express my thoughts or pen down my thoughts in the same. Similarly, if I have a pet, a dog, and I am I'm loving the dog, I'm just petting it, I'm just playing around with his chin basically. What will that mean? That will mean that is intercommunication that's taking place. The animal will just understand that I love, or I have a lot of affection towards it, and he may or she may just come hold me close, sit in my lap, play with me, lick my face to showcase some sort of emotions on those things. So when there are two different groups, animal and human beings, human beings and a non-living object, right? We love our phones, we keep communicating through our phones, we love our books, we love magazines, we love the internet, we get in so much source of information from there. So that becomes intergroup because they're not the same. Whereas intragroup stands for human versus human. By and large, more or less, throughout the syllabus, throughout the topic, we'll be talking about intra-communication, which is between two or more set of humans, the communication that will take place. So when we understand levels of communication, intra and inter, and prior to that what we did was, it is taken in from a Latin word, communication is taken from Latin word, communis or communicare. So now we'll understand what is the communication process. Now as you might be seeing on the screen, there are multiple images that are being reflected. Something which is known as idea, transmissions, thoughts, sender, receiver, coding, decoding, message, medium, channel, feedback. Now what is these? These are nothing but the factors or the components that are required for us to be able to have a proper communication cycle, a proper process via which it starts and it has a end towards it. So let's decode or let's break down these 8 components and understand the communication process. Now, the very first component or the factor that is necessary for a communication to take place is idea or thought. The generation of an idea or thought, and these idea or generation of thoughts can come in from the use of the sender, means the one who initiates the conversations, sensory organs. Now when we talk of sensory organs, it means as a sender, I am the one who will transmit my thoughts or communicate my thoughts to the receiver, that is you. Why? Because from the point of view of me talking, or maybe I've seen that this is the syllabus and the reader or the receiver at the other party needs to understand the syllabus, I need to break it down. So the idea that I had using my sensory organs was that I read the syllabus. Okay, fine, I thought that I need to make it easier for you all to understand. So as a sender now, I am encoding a message. The message is the syllabus. Okay, how I am encoding it is I'm using oral communication. Okay, so the medium through which I am communicating is oral communication. The channel that I am using is the online platform. You guys have subscribed to this particular app and to this particular program. So when I talk of medium, it is what you need to communicate or how are you going to communicate. Okay, how are you going to communicate? So I'm using the concept of oral communication. Alright, channel. Through your mobile phones, I am making a recording currently, then it will be edited, it will be furnished, it will be made applicable from the point of view of you to have series of lectures for the same, and through that perspective we can say that becomes a channel. And then online you subscribe to it through the app, then you decode it. Now what happens in the whole process of decoding is you are trying to make sense of what I'm saying. So we communicate on the grounds of English. You'll understand what I'm trying to communicate because I'm talking English. So you're breaking down my words, you are seeing the images that are being reflecting, and that's how you are able to comprehend, understand what I'm saying. Then as a receiver, you are the end party who has understood the message, and now in this particular process, because we are an online transaction, there would not be a direct scope for feedback, but an indirect way is towards the end of this session or towards the end of the lectures, when there will be series of questions put forward for you, right? You tick mark options or you know fill in the blank, and through that when you are able to answer to the questions that have been asked, it means whatever I was trying to communicate to you in terms of the syllabus, you are able to understand it as a receiver, and the feedback is in the form of the fact that you got 10 on 10 or 20 on 20 in these tests. So that is how we understand the process, or that's how we understand the whole concept of communication that takes place. Let's take another example and understand the process in a more simplified manner. Consider that you are a boy, you're walking down and you see a beautiful girl, and that's the very first crush wala feeling that you have. So what happens as a sender, you had a thought to idea, it was a reference, okay, you saw the girl, she looks beautiful and you wish to say a hello to her. So what do you do in this parameter? You walk up to the girl using the medium of again verbal communication. You using the channel that is your words, verbal communication. So orally you are going and talking to her with the help of words. Okay, you may go and tell her, the receiver, hello, you really look beautiful. I would like to be friends with you. And the girl responds to you, sure, why not? And hands you over her number, or gives you a handshake. The communication cycle: idea, encoding, the sender, medium, channel, the receiver is decoded your words, given a feedback to you, and the process of communication is complete. Now let's look at one small parameter or one small concept of feedback. When we talk of feedback in general from the business communication perspective, we can divide the feedback in three parameters. One is the descriptive, second is evaluative, and the third one is prescriptive. Now what happens in descriptive? Descriptive is, as the word suggests, you describe it in words. For example, the actor has given an excellent performance, so you say mind-blowing acting or very natural acting. We didn't realize that you were acting, we thought that you were pulled into the character. Or the surgeon has carried out an operation on a patient, and the patient feels very light. He doesn't feel only as if he's operated. So you say that what amazingly you did my surgery. Your hands were so smooth that I don't feel at all that I have been operated. So it was smooth a surgery, right? Effective teaching. The teacher taught so nicely that the concepts were understood. So effective teaching. Then we move to second, which is evaluative. Now evaluative works on 4 parameters. I mean, there are 4 outcomes or 4 scales through which we say that you have to give an evaluative feedback. Now evaluative feedback comes from the point of either you have a positive outcome or a positive reply, yes. A negative reply, no. Effective reply, you just see tears coming out the eyes of an actor after his performance. So he's very satisfied with how he has communicated and delivered. Or maybe reading a novel, that the reader just starts crying. Or if it's a positive motivation a book that he or she has read, transformation starts taking place. And the last scale is ineffective. Nothing. No positive, no negative, no effective, एकदम न्यूट्रल, कुछ फर्क ही नहीं गिरा, सुनते ना पढ़ते ना देखते तो भी completely चल जाता, तो तब जाके we can say that it is an ineffective reply. And last is prescriptive reply, a feedback. Now what happens in prescriptive feedback? Prescriptive feedback basically is given in terms of words where you tell the person where they can improve. Okay, so best example could be the teacher. On the day of your report card, she tells you that okay, you've scored so and so marks. I think with little bit of practice or with little bit of reading, you can also improve your English marks. Or I think you need a lot of homework with regards to maths. I think you should solve or get in books that help you solving your mental maths ability. So I'm sure that you will next semester you will get more marks in maths. So you are giving a feedback for improvement. Or in terms of acting, when the director says, "अरे थोड़ा artificial लग रहा है भैया, I mean change करो," तब जाके we can say that it's a prescriptive feedback. So with that, we understand the process, we understand the types, and now let's move to understanding why is business communication so important. Now, why it is important is Because in terms of a business, in terms of an organization, we have internal and external stakeholders. Internal stakeholders are the people who are within an organization, who are directly affected by any policy change that will take place. Whereas when we talk of external stakeholders, they are the ones who are sometimes directly and sometimes indirectly affected by a way of which business communicates. Like customers. Okay, so HUL as a company and its customers, being the external stakeholders, will be directly affected by the kind of products or services they kind of come out with. Whereas when we talk of internal stakeholders, that is the employees, any policy change in HUL or any new product launch, and the sales employee having to attain to this particular target or achieving those particular targets. So communication is required for these internal stakeholders as well as external stakeholders to keep them in sync with what the organization is doing. The government being an external stakeholder, bank employees or the banking agencies, the insurance companies who are protecting your organization. So they are required so that as external stakeholders, they are able to do justice to your organization. They're able to, understand what's happening. Therefore, communication is required. You need communication to boost the morale of your employees. When they're feeling low, using some sort of rewards, punishment parameters, you boost their morale. When you boost their morale, you improve your productivity. When you improve your productivity, it means you are able to achieve your targets. When you are achieving your target, it means you are able to flourish in the business sense, in the business world. You are able to grow, you are able to expand. You are going from local to global connections, local to global, right? So only communication will help you grow from your local base to your your global base. On these grounds, at the same point in time, when there is healthy environment, when there is healthy communication within the organization, the top level, mid level, low level, the three levels of management that interact with each other properly, give each other the right kind of information, decisions can be made fast. When decisions can be made fast, it is more of a better working culture that you have within the organization. And all of these will also ensure that there is no miscommunication in the information, because the right kind of information reaches the right kind of people in the right parameter. So for all of these reasons, business communication is very important. Yes, so with this, we now move to the last part where we understand the technological impact that has taken place on communication. With the advancement in technology, how communication has changed, how communication has grown, how communication has seen other variety of factors.